Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at some pitching for today, Monday, the 7th of August. We have an 8-game main slate with two pretty strong weather spots, Pittsburgh and Cleveland. The big question marks. Which puts a wrench into our Spencer Strider. Um, Not only do we have to worry about weather, but we also have to look at a 12.8K price tag on DK, which is a bit extreme, but um, other weathers, maybe some slight rain in New York and Boston, but nothing right now to be too worried about. Most temperatures are in the 70s. Winds blowing out in every park except for Cleveland on the main slate, which is kind of crazy to see. Um, Ranging from 6 miles an hour to what looks like about 13 um, on the slate. So I don't know, could be some offense, but also it's a little cooler. So uh, I don't think there's a lot of actionable weather other than the Pitt and Cleveland potential rain. Both about a 60% delay risk according to our weather station. Pittsburgh at about a 25 PPD risk, while Cleveland's at about a 15% PPD risk. So let's jump into the pitching. Uh, Mentioned Spencer Strider right here at the top at 12.8K, a minus 292 favorite. Massive favorite. Big time matchup. Coming in on an extra day of rest. Great to see from a fantasy standpoint. Um, hasn't struck out less than 9 hitters since June 14th. So we're approaching 2 months of starts where he's been at 9+ Ks. So, I mean, not much needs to be said. Price tag's a little rough. Weather potentially could be a little rough, but the matchup itself, great spot for Strider, even if it is on the road. Uh, his numbers actually have been better on the road, so you know K numbers aren't as strong. Allows a little more home runs, a few more home runs per nine. Um, but he is 7-1 in 10 road starts. Wins are obviously important with the 4-point bonus, but yeah, that 12.8K is just ridiculous to see. Um, that's basically, that's Ronald Acuna and Matt Olson together from a price point, which, yeah, kind of puts things into perspective. Uh, Garrett Cole taking on the White Sox. Cole and the Yankees are a minus 165 favorite. Game total of 8. Uh, Great on the road, just 3 home runs allowed in 55 and 2/3 innings. Uh, K numbers are stronger at home, just slightly stronger, but his walks are down quite a bit on the road as well. Throwing the ball pretty well. His Ks aren't as predictable as Strider's, obviously. Not many are, but uh, 20 plus DK points in 5 straight starts, and 7 of his last 9. Uh, Great trends to see. 11.3K is up there as well. Looks like what his third or so highest price point. Um, but this White Sox team certainly lacks fight, I guess. I would assume we hear about Tim Anderson's suspension today. I don't think they want to keep letting him play, but uh, I just I think Garrett Cole's in such a great spot that I have no problem paying 11.3K, but it's aggressive, especially when we have somebody like Freddie Peralta at 9,600, who's in such a smash spot. Um, Becomes difficult, who are you going to stack around a Peralta Cole combination or Peralta Strider. I haven't tried to build those kind of lineups yet, but I'm gonna I'm gonna assume it's not very strong from a hitter standpoint, which it's fine if you get the right cheaper stack that goes off. You have a chance to just walk through GPPs, especially if Strider and Peralta, um, do what we would expect them to do. The New York Mets, Kodai Senga against the Cubs. Cubs just took two of three, I think it was, against the Braves, or three of four. All the days run together at this point, but the Mets taking on a hotter Chicago team. The Mets are a minus 125 favorite at home. Game total just 8.5. Senga, K's have been down recently. Uh, I'm sure he's probably starting to wear down a little bit. Um, his numbers against Kansas City inflated a lot of runners. Kansas City has been hotter. Um, I think it was yesterday or maybe Saturday, they ended their 7 game winning streak. So, um, you know, when a team is hotter, obviously matchup isn't as easy for a pitcher. So, the fact that Senga gave up 11 hits against Kansas City, I just kind of take it with a grain of salt. This is a guy that dominated the Dodger squad as well, less than a month ago. So I'm totally fine with Kodai Senga. His numbers at home have been filthy. Wasn't great against the Cubs, walk issue, and that's one of the things to worry about. Walks. Uh, his home runs have been held in check now. He started out giving up some home runs, but he's been able to hold those in check. I like the upside. Uh, it's it's not a comfortable spend up. He is 10K, but there's upside for him. I expect him to be pretty low owned as well. Um, just given that Freddie Peralta's cheaper, uh, and if you're going to spend 5 figures, people are going to want to go to Cole. Um, really interested to see what Strider's projected ownership is, though. But Logan Webb, the Angels can strike out. Bryce Miller just struck out a ton of them on Sunday. The problem is like he's just not as strong on the road. That's my worry. I mean, it's not that his numbers are just horrible on the road, but they're just not as good. Um, he's been giving up some runs recently, uh, but this road start at Cincinnati is a good litmus test. That's a strong ballpark for hitters. Cincinnati, obviously a dangerous squad. He still put up 23.4 DK points. Didn't get the win in that one, so it could have been a really strong performance. Uh, Even though it's on the road, being on the West Coast obviously is going to help him. Um, Generally think that as long as he avoids Shohei, he should have a route to a strong game. Like Senga, I don't think he's going to be very highly owned, so I am interested in Logan Webb. Mentioned Peralta, ridiculous matchup. Struck out 10 the first time he faced Colorado. Numbers are strongest at home. Big K jump when he's pitching at home. Obviously has some blow up in him. It does randomly happen, but he does have double digit Ks in 2 of his last 5 starts, both of which came at home. Uh, I expect him to be the chalkiest pitcher on this slate, but right now he's probably my core SP1. It's just really impossible to ignore this matchup at home. Brian Bale, he's in consideration, but I might not get to him. I believe this game has a pretty strong total of 10. Uh, Boston is a minus 195 favorite. Kansas City has been swinging it better. Uh, and Bayo hasn't been overly sharp the last handful. Did strike out 7 against Seattle in a K increased matchup. Uh, but it has been, a month and a half since he cracked the 20 plus DK point level. Uh, he's generally not a strong K guy, anyways. Uh, He is better at home, which is where he's at, but I just don't know that I'm going to get there. Right now, I have Dylan Cease ahead of him, but I might be willing to change that order. Uh, in the Yankees, there are strikeouts, but it is a dangerous lineup. Cease just got lit up by the Rangers. Obviously, a worry, but when he's right, we get 8+ Ks, allowing just one run. Um, you know, 3 to 5 hits plus walks in 6 innings. Uh, issue is I just don't know that he's going to go much more than 6 innings. As long as start this year 6 1/3 because he racks up pitch count. Uh, Obviously, being an underdog hurts a little bit as well, which might push him below Brian Bayo in my list. But for right now, I have Cease ahead of Bayo in my pool. Not going to use Gavin Williams. Dane Dunning, coming off of an elite 11K performance against the White Sox. He just randomly throws out double-digit K games, and then he'll have games where he strikes out just one. That was against the Dodgers. So um, a -220 favorite in Oakland. Probably going to be fairly popular. I have a feeling the cash combination for people will be, Peralta and Dane Dunning, so that they can get some Atlanta bats in their cash builds. So I don't have a problem with Dunning at all. The last guy that is in my pool right now would be Patrick Sandoval, mainly because San Francisco has struggled against left-handed pitching much of this season, uh, and he's capable of putting up nearly 30 DK points. It doesn't happen very often. His home numbers have been a lot worse, but I just think that San Francisco overall can struggle against left-handed pitching enough. They do have a couple guys that I am worried about. So I think Sandoval is more of a 10 to 15% play, just because Dunning's very similar in price, but he's at least in my pool. Uh, the only other guy down here that I considered at all was going to be Cole Reagans, mainly because he's left-handed against this Boston squad who has a bunch of left-handed bats in the top half of the lineup. Uh, but I'd be worried that it just comes across as me chasing this career performance against the Mets where he dominated them. Uh, I don't really like to chase that, but when you see that his last major league appearance came against a difficult Tampa Bay squad where he performed extremely well, it actually intrigues me somewhat. Um, but I just don't think we can get there. As much as I want to believe that he figured something out or that he's capable of containing Boston, uh, we have to understand that this game still has a double-digit total. Boston is a -195 favorite, so that Boston game team total is pretty strong. And Cole Reagans really isn't all that strong of a MLB pitcher, uh, but it is interesting, and I think he is going to uh, carry some ownership because of people trying to pair him with one of the guys at the top and trying to make things work. But yeah, I just can't really do it. I was trying to make it work, but I'm gonna have to just make a decision and go no and stick to my pool. But there you have it. There's the look at pitching. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on to get that alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. And if you want to join us, I'll put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, R-A-Z, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.